Hi, my name is Charlotte Torres. I'm a sophomore at Central Michigan University, and I'm majoring in music education and psychology. I will be teaching. Now, the first topic that we're going to go over is preparing the face. So the first aspect of preparing the face is balancing your head. So this is extremely important when you're playing your flute. First, what we're going to want to do is relax all of the muscles in your shoulders and in your neck. So what I like to do is just roll your head around. Don't go into the front. That isn't going to be good. And then you're going to want to lift your head, and you're going to find the joint, which is actually called the atlanto-optical joint, which is going to be the space which is going to be the joint, the space that connects the base of your head to your spine. So relax all those muscles, and then you're going to want to find that area and balance the base of your skull onto your spine. And that's going to help you while playing the flute. Now, the second aspect of preparing your face to play the flute is going to be more with your mouth. So the first aspect of your mouth area is going to be your teeth. So first, we're going to clench our teeth pretty hard. Don't hurt yourself. And then we're going to relax them. And when you relax them, there should be a little space in the back of your teeth. And we want that when we're playing flute. So clench them. And then relax. And see, there's a little space in between there. Another way is putting your fingers in between your top teeth and your bottom teeth. It's a little bit bigger of a space, but that's okay. Everybody is a little bit different. So some of us will need a smaller space, some of us will need a bigger space, but we do need that space to get air from our lungs out into our mouth and then out across the flute, which we'll be talking about more later on, but we do need that space in between our teeth. The last part of preparing your face to play the flute is going to be air pockets. So the air pockets for the flute are a little bit different than other instruments, other ways that your mouth might already be set in when you're just living your life. So we want our air pockets in our upper cheeks. We don't want them in our lower lip or our chin or our upper lip. We don't want them right here where they're most commonly. We don't want them in our lower teeth. We want them in our upper cheeks, which is kind of like in our by our upper teeth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of close off all the areas that could hold air pockets and then push air up into those cheeks. And we're gonna keep them there while we're playing flute. So that's just one way to demonstrate, one way to show that they need to be up here, one way to feel it out. This might take a little bit of practice just because people are used to air in different areas. I know I carry a lot of air in my upper lip and my lower lip because I'm not traditionally a flute player. So you're just gonna have to practice getting that air up into those upper cheeks. All right, the next aspect of playing the flute and controlling your air is gonna be the angle of your air. And this is gonna be very important when playing the flute in particular. So one way to demonstrate this or feel it kinesthetically, as we've been talking about, is having your arm out in front of you, a good foot or so, however far you can get it out, uncovered if you're wearing a long sleeve or a hoodie like I am, and then trying to just direct your air and blowing it at different parts of your arm. So right now we're gonna be talking about just blowing it straight across from you. So that's going to be probably your wrist, and then blowing it up at your fingertips, and then blowing it down at your elbow. So blowing it at your wrist and feeling the air hit your wrist, and then blowing up at your fingertips, and then blowing down at your elbow. Now when you do this, you're gonna feel your embouchure change just a little bit. So when you blow straight across, your embouchure is probably gonna feel pretty normal. But when you blow up at your fingertips, you're gonna feel your bottom lip and make your chin push out just a little bit, and that's gonna be okay. That's what we wanna do when we're changing the angle of our air. And then when we're blowing directly down at our elbows, we're gonna feel our top lip just go over our bottom lip just a little bit more. And again, that's okay, that's what we want to happen. All right, another aspect of having your embouchure set on your flute is that when you put your lower lip on the lip plate, your lower lip is actually gonna cover some of the embouchure hole. And this is the embouchure hole. So when you put it on, generally speaking, it's going to cover about a fourth to a third of the embouchure hole. And I'm going to try to demonstrate. It might not be very clear, but I'm going to try my best. Now when you're playing in the high register, your lower lip is gonna cover a little bit more of the embouchure hole, and that's okay. That's how we find the higher notes. That's how the higher notes come out a little bit easier. So that's just another aspect of setting your embouchure on the lip plate of the head joint of the flute. So now we're gonna be talking about putting our set face onto the lip plate of the flute and creating our embouchure. So first off, this is the head joint of the flute, and this is the lip plate. So when you're holding up the head joint of your flute, the hole should be going towards the right side of you, and the cap should be going towards the left side of you. So that is the first aspect of setting up your face, or setting up the flute towards your face. The second aspect is that you're always going to want to put your flute towards you. You don't want to go towards your flute. Now talking more about setting up your embouchure is that when you put your embouchure onto the lip plate, you're going to want to have a long lower lip on the lip plate. And an easy way to do this is the pout and pucker method. You want to pout your lips and then pucker them a little bit, and then set them onto the lip plate. We don't want to smile when we're creating our embouchure, and we also don't want to frown. So we don't want to be smiling and setting it on there, or frowning. Just want to pout and pucker. But we also don't want to pucker too much, kind of like a kiss. We don't want to do that, or like a duck face. We don't want to go like, or we want to create that long lower lip. And then blow across. Now, another aspect of setting up your embouchure onto the lip plate is that you're going to want to make sure that your embouchure is parallel with the flute is parallel with the embouchure. So, easy way to do this is just extending where your embouchure falls, and then making sure that your flute is also going to be parallel. So right now it's parallel, but if we don't have it parallel, it's going to look like this or this. We want to keep it parallel. And that's just going to help with our sound, our intonation, our tone, all of that great jazz. So an exercise that we can do with just the head joint alone is called the rabbit exercise. It's using just air, no articulation at all, and we're just going to blow across the flute, making sure that our embouchure is set, pout and pucker, long lower lip, making sure that we're covering a fourth to a third of the embouchure hole. So we're gonna do uncovered, uncovered, hole, and then we're gonna cover it with our hand completely, the palm of our hand. I'm gonna blow across. And that's just an easy way to find your embouchure, find your place on the lip plate. You can see that I struggled a little bit at the beginning, and that's okay. We're all learning. It's a learning aspect, and that's what the rabbit exercise is used for. Now we're going to talk about the embouchure when you're playing high. So as we talked about before, playing higher means that your embouchure is going to be going towards your fingertips. So more of your air is going to be going up rather than down. And then it means that the aperture in your lips is going to be a little bit smaller, and it might sound more like ooh instead of oh, and that the air is going to be cooler rather than warmer. Now we always want cool air, cooler air, of course. We don't want really hot air, but when we're playing high, it's going to get even cooler. So that's kind of what it's going to sound like when you're doing it on just the head joint alone. So when I'm talking about the lower range, it's going to be pretty much the opposite of the higher range. So it's going to be a larger aperture in the lips. Again, it's not going to be super noticeable, but there is going to be a larger aperture. We're going to make almost an O sound instead of an oo. And then the air is going to be a little bit warmer. It's not going to be hot. Like we talked about earlier with blowing, it's not going to be hot air. It's just going to be warmer than the higher aperture sounds. So that's how it's going to sound when you use just the head joint.